And we are live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Connection Loop podcast. I am psyched today because we got Robbie Summers on the line with us. Robbie's in the house. Robbie has some great experience. Robbie, you worked for Russell Brunson for 15 years. You were his head of sales.
Yeah, for 15 years and help build and grow ClickFunnels from the ground up, and even before anybody had even heard of ClickFunnels. So a lot of fun and just an amazing experience.
That's amazing. Talk about being at the right place at the right time with the right person, the right people. You guys had a great team. You guys did amazing things to make ClickFunnels what it is today. Unbelievable. You started selling when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, Ruben, I did. Sales is something that nothing in the world happens unless the sale's made. And I don't care if it's software, if it's a high ticket product, or it's your kid in the grocery cart yelling and screaming because they want a candy bar. That your kid's selling you on why they need a candy bar. So nothing happens unless the sale's made.
Let's call it the art of persuasion.
100%. We can go on and talk about the art. I'm actually in the process of writing a book. Should be done and on Amazon about this time next month. But it's called The Art of Sales, and art's a little acronym for me.
Amazing. I was feeling that. I was feeling the art there. Amazing. The problem that we are always thinking about in sales is trust. Like, we always go back to that problem, because if you get to the root problem of why so many people in sales struggle, why their emails get ignored, why their text messages get ignored, why their phone calls get ignored, why they don't get callbacks, replies, why they don't get the signature on the contract. A lot of it is because of trust. And my definition of trust is, I don't trust the person, I don't trust the company, that idea, but it's also not understanding the value. So I don't trust the value proposition, or I don't trust the amount of information that I have to make an educated decision. This is the root of everything that we do at Dub, because we are all about communication. We're about adding visuals. We're about adding video, getting over the trust hurdle so that people can make more educated decisions, and then have the world go around to your words. The world goes around because of salespeople, people like you and me that are selling value to solve people's problems. My first question for you, Robbie, is how do we get over the trust problem? How do we build relationships so that people can trust us and that we have long-lasting relationships?
Ruben, what a great question, man. Thank you for bringing that up. And I think it goes back to something that so few people have understood or realized in the world today, that the greatest currency on planet Earth, it's not money, it's not gold, it's not Bitcoin, it's relationships. And if I can establish a relationship with somebody, and even if I'm on a sales call, that if they can look at me as a trusted advisor rather than somebody who's trying to close them down, somebody who's just trying to get a sale, that the entire dynamic around how a sales is done, how a sales call is done, whatever it is, everything changes. And Ruben, a big part of that too is a lot of people, when you think about sales, that hey, the ABCs of sales is always be closing, right?
Yeah.
I want to get rid of that. It's always be caring.
Yeah.
The ABCs is always be caring. And the thing too is that, it's not just that I trust the person or I like the person that's selling me. I've got to be able to see how I'm going to see a return on that investment. Whatever it is, that I've got to see how, by me purchasing something, I'm going to get some value from that. And Ruben, the first time that a sale is made, it's always done on an emotional basis. I don't care who you are. I don't care what it is. The reason somebody's buying is because emotionally they feel it, because they don't have proof yet that it works. Right. And so they've got to have faith. They've got to have that emotion that's built up. And I have so many people, my engineers, my software designers that are, I'm logical. I don't make emotional decisions. I'm like, yeah, you do. But what happens, Ruben, especially like in a service like yours, that on a software, SaaS company, something like that, ClickFunnels, hey, month one might be based on emotion, but if I'm not getting anything out of it, by month 2, month 3, I'm going to churn and I'm going to burn out. And so that's where that logical side comes in, is that not only do I have to be able to say, here's my value proposition on an emotional basis, but number 2, how do I fulfill on it afterwards? So logically it makes sense for somebody to stick with me. And that's not just SaaS. That could be a car salesman. The most successful car salespeople are the ones that have that repeat business because you did such a good job previously. And so they come back and they send their friends and their kids and everybody else to them. And when you make that value proposition, Ruben, it's got to be something that just, it's almost a no-brainer for the people that you're working with. And I'll use with my sales training, the people that I work with, let's say I've got a $5,000 offer, and the people that we've worked with have made $10,000, $25,000, $100,000 because of the training, the help that we've given them. You look at Dub and it's like, hey, if you increase your conversions by 25% of callbacks because you're utilizing video, what's going to happen to and if I know and I understand, like, hey, gosh, I'm only getting 25% callbacks right now, and if I increase it to 50%, what would my close ratio be? And I can lay those numbers out, and just for sake of talking, let's say that you had a $5,000 program that you're selling to somebody, and they're like, gosh, if it increased my conversions by 25%, I'd make $100,000. Yeah. And so now it becomes really easy, because I say, Ruben, if I put $100,000 in front of you and said, hey, dude, here's $100,000, can I have $5,000 back? But like just a no-brainer to somebody. And so it's got to be something that it just makes so much sense, and there's so much value, but it's not the value of what the product does. It's the value that the customer sees from that product. Does that make sense?
I really like how you frame that. There's this idea that I was thinking about while you were saying that, which is that a lot of people in sales are taught that you have to have this certain grind set. You have to have this monster hustle, and you have to never give up. It's like 6 no's, 12 no's, have, a broken nose because the door has been slammed on your face so many times. And, when I hear that information, sometimes it sort of elicits a certain amount of empathy within me, because on one hand, I do connect to the idea of having a high level of motivation, a high level of perseverance, a high level of not wanting to give up, because that is the definition of being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs have to endure the most amount of failure in our society. I mean, that's the only way to get successful. You have to fail forward. However, I feel this empathy, I feel this compassion, because more training, more coaching, more hustle, more direction, more bosses in a boardroom standing up with their hands on the table, leaning over in an alpha pose, are telling people to go and keep calling instead of providing value, instead of caring, instead of the listening with the big fat Dumbo ears open, instead of finding real problems and real solutions and making that connection. And I feel like we are now on the precipice in sales, in the sales industry, where that grind set is now changing to something completely different, which is, how can I do a better job to build trust? How can I do a better job to share value, to listen, to understand the needs, and then find a viable solution to make a long-lasting relationships where I get reviews, referrals, testimonials, and then just the sunshine just keeps going, because guess what? There's plenty to go around. That's my mantra. I'd love to get your take on this. I know you're all about it, because the first thing that you said to me in our sort of pre-call was, the idea of the ABC, they'll always be closing, the Glengarry, Glen Ross, that stuff is gone now. And now it's the new guard. Talk to us about the new guard.
Gosh, Ruben, it's so sometimes and I'll listen to other sales trainers, and I always believe there's something good I can get out of everybody and learn from them. But that idea, and believe me, I've knocked door to door, some pest control, religion. I've done all that door to door, and I've done the grind where it's 200 dials a day and somebody yelling at you to get it done. And there's absolutely a value in having a salesperson. One of the things I always do is when I hire a new salesperson, or before I hire them, is that they fill out a DISC profile. And and if you're familiar with the DISC, I'm looking for people who have a DI personality, because I want them to be a driver and I want them to like people. I want them to be interpersonal, or an ID personality. You don't want a salesperson who's like, I hate people, because that's they're in the wrong business.
Right.
But I definitely want them to have that driver, and I want them to have that. But it's so outdated that and that doesn't replace the value of hard work. But there's also smart hard work. And I think that there's so many people out there that think, if I just grind and I just grind, am I going to find that that lay down? Am I going to find that golden nugget? Yeah, you probably will. But you're gonna get burnout. You're gonna get so many no's that you're gonna walk away from it. And it really is. It's an outdated model. It's one of those things that when somebody is like, well, if you don't do it right now, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
And that's that, Ruben. If that really is true, I don't need it. Not number one. Okay. Yeah. And number two, it's like, you're telling me if I call you back with my credit card for $25,000 tomorrow, you're not going to take it? No, I'm not going to take it. And you call them back and they're like, yeah, here it is. And it's like, give me a break. And so the whole idea of these guys, yelling at you and grind, just get whatever you have to do to get the sale. One of the biggest turning points in my career, Ruben, is a lot of what I did initially, because that's just what I was told to do, right? What was exactly what you said. And I read a book called Leadership and Self-Deception, and it was something that just literally changed my entire perspective on sales and people and what I'm doing. So often that you would look at a sale as, man, this commission pays my mortgage, it pays my car payment. And I'm not looking at the people that I'm serving. And I did okay. I was making low six figures, grinding, doing it, taking the rejection. And the biggest turning point for me in my income was when I started looking at people as people and how can I serve them and better them. And if they're the wrong fit, saying you're the wrong fit and being okay with that as a sales guy, because I'm going to go out there, and just because they're the wrong fit today, Ruben, doesn't mean that 6 months down the road, they're not going to be the right fit. I just barely brought on a new client that literally 6 months ago was like, Robbie, I'm not ready, and called me up 2 weeks ago and said, Robbie, I'm ready to get started. Let's go. And that's something that will turn into literally millions and millions of dollars for my company, for me, for what we're doing, because I treated him the right way. I treated him with respect. I helped him out. I served him. And I didn't overpressure him to make a decision right now. That's the value of sales. And there's so many times that's come back to me time and time again, that when you're caring about the people and you're trying to serve them at the highest level, that's when good things happen.
Well said, man. It's funny, I got an email today, and I'm going to just share my screen for just 1 second here. So this is a quote that I got from the service department at the Porsche dealership in my hometown here. There's a subject line. I blurred out the name here, and then there was a quote here. And this quote is basically to do a tune-up on the Porsche. And I called them and I said, hey, give me a quote on what it's going to cost to get the spark plugs and the air filters and the oil filters, and I want the works. And I was blown away how poor this experience was. And I'm not going to mention any names here, obviously, but I was blown away how poor the experience was, because number one, they didn't respond to me initially. The phone call just went right to a voicemail. I couldn't get a hold of anyone. Number two is that he told me he would call me back by the end of the day. There was no call back. I actually had to follow up with him the next day, after lunch, right? I was kind of surprised by that. I'm calling you. I'm a potential client here. Where's the comm? You said you were going to call me back. You didn't. And I was like, I don't know about this. And then I get an email, and this is where I was like, I'm not going to work with them. I get an email, and it's just a PDF. And for me, it's like, oh God, I can't do it. I'm like, there is such little emphasis that's placed on this relationship right now. It is basically like, here's a contract, here's what you have to spend with us, and then you're done with us. And for me, it's like when stuff like this happens to me, it reminds me why we decided to build a framework, a technology platform that allows people to record videos of themselves. Because if I don't know who this person is, I have no reason to be loyal to them. There's no humanity here. It's a PDF with some numbers on it and a big bold number at the bottom. If I were to know this person, if I were to get an explanation as to, what's going on with the comm, they're busy, they're overworked, it's fine, right? If I were to understand what it is that I'm buying, what it looks like for me to come there as an experience, I might make a very different decision. So what did I do? I decided to not work with this organization here, and I decided to go elsewhere and find something else. And the experience that I had from the other organization was completely different. It was personable. It was, there was a connection there. And this is sort of a public service announcement to people that when you are going to send an email to someone, just remember what it's like from the other person's perspective. What is it like to actually receive that email? Do I feel like I have a connection to this person? Do I feel like I can trust them? Like I can understand the value? Like why I might want to spend 3 times more than if I go to a mom and pop shop down the street. That is my message for people, to bring back the humanity, bring back the connection. I get that vibe from you, Robbie. I get that connected vibe from you. Always be caring is what you said. Take me through that. How do you build relationships? You and I have built a relationship in a week. I met you last week, and now we're on a podcast, broing it out. I'd love to get your take on this.
Ruben, what's funny about that is, okay, let's say the Porsche dealership is super busy.
Yeah.
But he would have sent you the PDF with a dub video and saying, Ruben, I'm so sorry that this happened. Or a Bonjour or a Loom or something. That I'm so sorry I got so busy. We've been slammed. Can I just walk you through everything? And I want you here. And I'm so excited for your business. Hey, here's the thing that's interesting to me is that Porsche is it's a luxury brand. It just is. You would think that you would get luxury experience and luxury luxury help, and it's amazing to me that the quality of service and the humanity, because so much is turned to technology in just the world, which on one hand is great, and on another hand, like we need that human connection as well, because that's what keeps repeat business. And it's funny because Porsche is a premium brand, but then I look at something and you're like, hey, fast food, you're not going to get great service at fast food, right? Chick-fil-A has amazing customer service. They have systems and processes, and people love to go to Chick-fil-A because instead of saying thank you, they say my pleasure, and they serve you and they walk things out. And so it really doesn't matter where, if you're a $250,000 Porsche or a $10 meal at Chick-fil-A, you can still provide that value of service and that humanity and that connection. Without that, it's interesting. I was in Mexico on a stage right before Dan Kennedy, and it was with a bunch of chiropractors, and I had one of them raise their hand and say, Robbie, how is AI gonna affect salespeople and what they're doing, or just technology in general? And my response to this group is about 500 different chiropractors all across the U.S. and Canada, and I was like, it's not going to make sales go away. What it's going to do is it's going to take the best salespeople and make them better, and it's going to eliminate the people that shouldn't be in sales and allow them to go out and find what is their true superpower. And so it's something about leveraging the technology, utilizing it, but gaining that human connection, and that's something that's just powerful. I mean, Ruben, if he would have had, maybe didn't have a picture of your exact car with you standing in front of it, but had done some sort of outreach and apologized because they're slammed and they're busy and we're business owners and we know all that happens, but at least made an effort. But like, what I didn't see the total on your Porsche tune-up. What was the total that they're
$2,000, 2478.
$2,500 for a tune-up. Man, I better be getting freaking white glove service. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Okay. I mean, you're probably talking $300 or $400 in supplies and $2,000 in service, I better be getting white glove service top to bottom.
Right. It's amazing. Well, I think you said the right thing. I think you said the $250,000 Porsche, which I do not have. Maybe if I had the $250K Porsche, I would have gotten the dub video.
But
maybe they're like, hey, we don't need you, man.
But Ruben, if Chick-fil-A can do it,
right,
Porsche ought to be able to do it.
Hey, I came up with a joke for you. The joke is we don't need more Gen Z stares. We need more Gen Z cares.
Ruben, you're right. It's so funny too. You mentioned Gen Z, and I hear everybody like, everybody's hard on Gen Z. I love Gen Z because they're digital natives.
Same.
And if I can take a Gen Z person,
I'm sitting right next to a Gen Z right now, and I always say I learned so much more from Gen Z.
Right. If I can take Gen Z and I can be like, listen, let's take your digital native. Like I didn't get on the internet until I was out of high school. Like first time I got on the internet, right? I didn't grow up with it, but I get these people and I can say, listen, combine your knowledge, your strength, and like let's actually get out and practice talking and working with people. They can be superstars in sales or software development or leadership because they have both abilities. And so it's combining them. It's not saying one or the other. It's like, how do we mesh them together? And it's, again, Ruben, it goes back to caring about people and looking at people as people rather than my next sale, my next job, whatever it is that if I'll look at them and say, man, people are God's greatest creation. I think of a St. Augustine quote that one of my favorites where he talks about people go to the ocean and look at it. They look at the stars. Now they circle around and they forget to look at themselves. And so it's one of those things that if I can look at every single person, whether it's a sale, a CEO, a celebrity, or the bum on the street as that's God's greatest creation, man, I can do amazing things. And Ruben, if you start looking at people like that, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to tell anybody. People know it and people feel it. And it's automatically drawn to you. Funny you say, Robbie, we were on a sales call last week and now I'm on a podcast. It's because it really is about caring and making sure that you're taking care of the people that you work with.
Well said, man. Well said. Unbelievable. So talk to me about your book.
Oh man, Ruben, I'm so excited for it. It is it's a labor of love, and it is it's been incredible and amazing to go through it. And it's literally my 30 years worth of selling and insights and what I've learned and how I've grown and how we can help people out. But it's called The Art of Sales, the Art of Sales Leverage. And one of the things that most entrepreneurs need is they need the leverage because, Ruben, how many hats when you started out Dub were you wearing? You're like wearing all the hats. You're the sales guy, the designer. Yeah. You're taking out the trash. You're cleaning the bathrooms. You're doing all that. And one of the things that it's from Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy that they talk about is it's not the how, it's the who. And I believe we can go out and we can learn anything, but I can either learn something from somebody. I can either have somebody jump in and do it who's already an expert, or I can take the time to go and figure it out. And so business is all a matter of finding the who's to build and grow your business. Because I could create that superpower. I could take the time to go to school, become a software engineer and build something and build my own SaaS company and do all that. But that's going to take me 6 or 7 years to do all that and to get good at it. And then I've got to go through the training. And so now I'm 10 years down the road. Now I can start building my own SaaS company, right? Or I can just go out and find somebody who's already done it and team up with them and work with them. It's amazing how that happens and how that comes together when I'm looking for the right people. And so it's creating that leverage. And the art, it's an acronym. It's something that, gosh, Ruben, and you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, but the biggest problem with salespeople, top to bottom, is they talk way too much and they don't listen enough. They make it about them. They make it about their product. And it's never about that. It's about the people and what they need. And so you ask questions, you restate what they've said. So you make sure that you fully understand what they said. And then you tie it down into, gosh, if you did this, would you be able to do this? If you had this help, what would happen here? And if you follow that pattern throughout a sales process, and I wouldn't even say it's the art of sales leverage, but it's the art of communication. It's the art of relationships. Because it's, when you talk about, tying something down, now we have agreements on what the next steps are. And like that could, Ruben, that could be in a relationship that if I ask questions to my spouse, I restate what they've said. And then I tie it down into, okay, so here's the action that we're going to take. This is the next steps. All of a sudden, there's not like this confusion in communication that people have, and we're going towards a clear-cut goal. And maybe we're dividing paths, and that maybe that's the direction that we've got to go. But we know where we're going. It's amazing. As I go and I work with and I consult other companies and sales companies and things of that nature, one of the first things I always do is I look at the talk time on sales closes.
Yeah.
And generally it's 60 to 70% the sales guy talking and 30 to 40% the customer. And it needs to be flip-flopped because Ruben, if I'm the one talking, it's all about me. If you're the one talking, it becomes all about the customer. And it's so funny, Ruben. Every time I say this to entrepreneurs, because they love their product, it was their baby, they created it. Nobody cares about your product. The only thing they care about is, how is this product going to help me to do X, Y, Z? And so if I can find out about the person, where they're at, where they want to be, there's going to be a gap in between it, right? And then if I can say something, gosh, if you had 25% better engagement on your emails, how would that help you to get to X, Y, Z? And they tell me what it would do. All of a sudden, it starts building this bridge from where they're at to where they want to be. And all of a sudden, that sale at the end becomes so simple and so easy, and it almost becomes a no-brainer because they've created the proposition and they know and understand that it's going to work for them.
Nice.
So my book, I talk, but it just depends upon editing and things like that. But I'm guessing mid-October, 1st November, it'll be available, and we're going to do a pretty big media push for it and working on it. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Nice. I had experience with my book, Click Record, also on Amazon right here. This is my first book. I learned a lot of this in this process of promoting a first book, and I'd love to share some of that intel with you. I'm sure you have great mentors and a lot of experience with this, but I just through the mistakes that I made, I definitely learned a thing or two. So I'm dropping a new book as well, very similar timeline as you. So I want to partner up with you because we've got some good intel to share here. So.
Hey, Ruben, and I've got some contacts and people and things that I'm sure you do too. That I think that just I can help you out. I could drop, but shameless plugs for some of my friends. But at the same time, we can talk about that and definitely some things I can help you out with for sure.
Amazing, man. I could use all the help. Amazing. So. How do we connect with you? Where are you at? LinkedIn, Instagram?
Yeah. So RobbieSummers.com or thesaleslever.com. That's my homepage. And then you guys can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm basically about the only Robbie Summers out there. There's a few of them, but I'm really easy to find. And if somebody wants to contact and connect, if they need help with their sales, hey, Ruben, anybody in your audience, and I would just throw this out to you. I would be more than happy to do a sales audit of anybody in your audience. Have them reach out to me, DM me, and that we can sit down and talk. If you go to thesaleslever.com, this is my second book that I'm working on. It's kind of funny but the first book is more of a I wouldn't say pamphlet or brochure, but you can download that book and get some ideas there. But generally I charge $2,500 just for an hour sales audit. I'd be happy to do a sales audit for anybody in your audience just because it's you.
You know what? That means a lot to us. This is the website here, thesaleslever.com. So I encourage you guys to go watch this video right here, and let's get this call booked right here. I mean, having a sales audit, I can attest to the fact that that's a very valuable thing to receive. I really like how you present that as an audit, because if I were to go have our sales audited, which I probably should at some point, I would say, here's our numbers. Here's the number of calls that we book. I mean, I'd probably first start with traffic, to leads, to bookings, to demos, to show ups, to closes, to referrals. I'd go down that whole process and I'd look at all the conversion rates. And then I'd probably want to understand, what's my messaging? What's my scripting? What's my ideal client profile? Is my messaging connecting with my target audience to justify and to drive a sales rate that's not only increasing, but I'm also getting scale with a large, wide audience? A sales audit is very valuable. I encourage everyone to get one from Robbie Summers, our boy. Robbie, appreciate you. Thanks for being on the show with us. Next time we'll interview was that a golden retriever?
I've got 3 dogs. I had a golden retriever and 2 bernedoodles. They're always running in and out of the office. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice. Next time we'll get the doggies on the pod. Appreciate you, Robbie.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Ruben. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Please reach out. Let me know how I can help.
Thank you. This message was brought to you by Dub.com, the AI-powered video sales platform to help you drive more sales today, right now. Go grab a free trial. There's a partner link from Robbie in the comments. Click on that, because we're big on our partner link, and we love to write those checks to our friends. Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate you. Stick around. I'll share some notes. Thanks, guys.